We are recording. What is up, YouTube? I know I haven't been around as much, and I haven't been really active in YouTube just because I've been very busy with work. But now I'm back. So in this video, I'm gonna pretty much create a mobile app that um, interfaces with the Olympus project, and it allows the user to pretty much like send ohm and receive ohm and all that kind of stuff. And we do have some kind of mockups here, so they're not fully done, but it's okay. I'm just gonna pretty much like make do with whatever we have. So I am part of the WagMi hackathon, and the idea of this hackathon is to create a whole bunch of projects that basically help out the Olympus ecosystem. So one of the ideas that we have is this really cool app that pretty much like allows you to send or receive Olympus from your send or receive Ohm from your phone, right? So this pretty much allows you to do that. And the mockup is really simple. So you pretty much have the start page. Once you hit start now, you will basically see your balance. So I'm guessing like when they first start, they're just going to see like a zero balance on their account. And then I'm guessing you can press this and it'll be like a send or receive ohm button that'll pop up. And then if you hit receive, you can basically go and basically like it'll show this like QR code, and then you can this is not an Ethereum address, but it's okay. And then you can basically like tap on this, it'll copy your address, and then someone else from their MetaMask, they can send G-Ohm to you or Ohm, depending on what we decide to do. And then that'll basically show your balance here. And then if you press here, and then it'll go to like a send ohm, you can paste in some address here and then send ohm or geohm again. And then we also have like a success page, which is pretty cute. Basically says like you have successfully sent this much ohm to this address, right? So this is pretty much what we want to do. And I have actually already created like a Scaffold app that pretty much like connects you to the Olympus project, and it shows you the amount of like balance that you have. This is going to be a React Native application. I actually have the source code up in my other account's GitHub. So pretty much for the purposes of this video, I'm not going to go over how to compile a React Native application and run it on your phone, because I feel like the React people's documentation is already pretty good for that. So I'm just going to assume that you already know how to set up a React application on your iOS device. In this video, I'm just going to pretty much mostly focus on how to create an application that interfaces with Web3. So let's see if this actually works. Actually, I'm not sure if this is going to work right off the bat. So let's go and let's see. Let's pull up some accounts where I do know that I have some Olympus balance. Alright, cool. And I'm just going to come here and paste in my public address. Paste. Alright, cool. Alright, nice. So it actually, so if I hit return, it shows me that I have like 0.61 ETH and 5.89 ohm that is staked. So this is pretty much like how the application is currently working. So now let's go over the code, which is pretty cool. So I'm pretty sure I only have one file in this application. That's basically the landing page. So let's see. I have network, generic helper, web3 helpers, web3 hooks. There should be an app.tsx. Yeah, there we go. All right, so this is pretty much the application. It has, it looks like there's a whole bunch of stuff that I need to import. Oh no, it's just some weird type declaration issue. So I pretty much have the image that I'm showing. So let me actually move this over here. So I'm showing this image from Olympus's documents, and then I put this like the own buyer. It's actually not, the user's not going to be able to buy with this application, but that was kind of the general direction that we were headed towards in the beginning. But then we realized it's just going to be too hard to do that. So we're just going to do like a much easier version of the application. So I put a text input here with some styling, and then you can put your like address here. Once it gets your address, it'll show your balance here. And the way that I find the balance is pretty easy. We actually like have this use effect hook that I'm using, and I'm pretty much like validating the address. So like whatever the address that you put here, If it's invalid, I'll like reset the ohm balance. So if I, for example, like delete all of this, let me actually hit select all, delete. So now you can see that the balances have been reset to 0. That's just one little kind of feature that I put in there. And basically, oh, sorry, pardon my English, getting balance, not this little part. Okay, there we go. So we pretty much like console.log getting balance, and we get the ERC contract for ohm and staked ohm, and then we get the balance by basically calling the balance of function on that contract. And so basically the Web3 library that I'm using here is EthersJS. Let me actually show the package.json file for this project. So what do I have here? Oh yeah, so I've installed Ethers. To get Ethers to work with this application, I actually have to add some shims. So I believe they actually had some documentation here. Actually, I'll find it later, and I put it in the description below if I ever do upload this video. So I have the Ethers project and the shims, and then I believe I had to include it at some part of this application, app.tsx. Let's see if we actually have that. The shims here, it may have been an index. Let's see. Let's just generally search for shims. Import Ethers project shims. Yeah, this is the first thing that I imported on the top level TypeScript project, so that all of the Ethers stuff that I'm doing works. But other than that, the rest of this library, like the rest of this application, I'm pretty much using like the Ethers library. So we can actually take a look at these ERC contracts. So get ERC contract calls this get read only contract, and pretty much you have the contract address. I define this type that's called contract-ish. So it's basically either a contract string, contract ID or string. If you go here, this is pretty much it. Like I described an enum, that's basically the contract ID. This is some code that I actually copied over from like another project that I was working on. So you basically have this enum, and then you have this network address book. That is a map from network ID to an address book, and the address book basically has like different contracts, and it'll map the actual contract address on that network. So this is pretty much how I use it. I have this function called getAddressBook, so it'll get the address for that network. I have some global context where I basically set what kind of network I'm using. So if you use this function setNetwork, it'll set the global network. Like throughout the application, it's defaulted to Ethereum because this application is using Ethereum right now. And also for pretty much connecting this to Ethereum, I'm using some Infura node. But yeah, this is, not too sensitive information is being shown here. It's okay. All right, cool. So, what else do we have to do? Yeah, so let's pretty much go ahead and implement this application, honestly. Like, I'm pretty excited. Oh, actually, before I do that, I just want to show you some of the libraries that I've kind of implemented. Some functions, they're not really libraries. So it's used this React hook for getting your ETH balance. So it pretty much like uses this hook that gets you the provider. It basically, if the network doesn't change, it doesn't run this function again. It's using useMemo. Little optimization there. So get provider gets the default provider from the network that you're having. So like I have this RPC address book that it looks up the network to get the RPC address, and it'll return the default provider here. And Web3 provider, I think it's pretty much the same thing. It'll just return a JSON RPC provider. I don't even know if I'm using this anywhere. Yeah, I'm not using it anywhere right now. And so let's go back to where we were. Yeah, so use provider returns you provider, and the provider is pretty much the object that you need to do anything with Ethers. So I get the provider, and then I call get balance on it, and once I get the balance, I set the balance state, and then this whole hook will return the balance that the user has, and you can see that it's working. You can see it in action. Sorry, here it is actually working. All right, cool. Let's go to the start page of the application. So looks like we have this kind of Olympus logo. I wonder if I can actually take it out. Um, hmm, yeah, it's too many groups. Huh. Yeah, all of these don't seem to be that friendly in terms of selecting it. So let me see if I can select it. Uh, let's double click. Oh, okay, double clicking works. All right, cool. So I basically see the Olympus logo. That's the logo, and this is pretty much like the, oh, every single one of these is an SVG, I'm guessing. All right, that's not a problem. I think we can pretty much like export this as an SVG and bring it into our application. One really cool thing that I like is this kind of gradient action that they have here. So they put like a rectangular gradient in the top left, and they also have this thing with this kind of background. I'm guessing, yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, cool. So the first thing we're gonna do is pretty much scratch this application. So I'm just gonna rename this file to scaffold page. So once I do that, that's gonna, and then let's just restart, refresh what we have here. Scaffold page, yeah, that's good. Index.js, it is returning scaffold page, so that's pretty good. All right, cool. So, what is this? It's, oh yeah, it put .js here, and React build system doesn't like that when I do that. All right, cool. So let's dismiss this. Oh, sorry, that doesn't work. Okay, cool. So the scaffold application has been moved to that, file. So now I can create a new app.js file, and I'm going to put it under source. TypeScript app.tsx. Oh, actually, it's app.tsx. So let me actually rename this. All right, cool. All right, so let's export a simple view. Export const app equals, and then I'll basically do return view. Oh my god, my computer is slow. All right, and then we do text. Yeah, hello. All right, and for this to work, we should import React from the React Native library. All right, cool. All right, so let's now go to index and import app here. Okay, app just showed up. All right, once I do that, it pretty much says initially that this file doesn't exist. It's probably the same problem that I had previously, which is, it has the .js extension. But once we get rid of that, oh, cool, you can actually, like, it's kind of tough to see, but it's like at the top left, you can see this hello. That's because this view doesn't really use a safe area. So if I, for example, do safe area view, so if I do that, it'll actually like pull the hello down here so that you can see it. All right, cool. So that's pretty sick. All of that is awesome. So let's change this back to view actually. View. And then I'm going to do some styling. So style, and let's go back to here and pick this color up. Okay, cool. Background color. Let's put this here. All right, so if I go back to the application, so we can see that it's not fully filling out the space of the page. So I'm guessing one other thing that I can do here is to give it a flex of 1, flex value of 1. I wonder if that fills out the whole page. Yes, it does. Okay, sick. All right, so now let's figure out how to, I'm going to worry about this gradient thingy later. I think this kind of Olympus, oh, sorry, let's get rid of this. This Olympus logo is something that I want to now put into the application. So let's double click on it. I think I can just export this whole thing. Plugin, oh, copy, paste, and then copy as SVG. Okay, this is pretty good. I can go here under maybe, so we have source and then we have icons. I guess that's okay. And then I can do a file here. OHM logo.svg. Right, so we have this own logo. I wonder if I can just add it into the application. So app.tsx, import own logo from, and then here I can basically do probably icons, let's see, underscore logo dot svg. All right, cool. So if I do an image here, so let's go back to the scaffold page to see how I brought an image over there. Maybe that'll help. All right, cool. So we have this kind of, I call this better image. It's basically an image that works by getting, so basically, actually, let's just do make this super simple. Let's go on React Native's docs to see how do you import an image. React Native image. All right, so you have this image component in React Native. If you go inside here, it probably has a function component example of it. I'm just waiting for it to load. All right, cool. So you basically have this kind of image thingy where so they basically have different ways of bringing the source here. So I'm guessing I'm just going to use the first one because I have the logo in my project, so I'm going to do something like so. Actually, for test, just let's put something that already shows something there. And also, I'm guessing this is the tiny logo style. So let's just copy paste it here. Something super simple. All right, there we go. We have this. And let's go back and take a look at our application. Okay, sure enough, the image is showing. So now one thing that I'm going to do is to center this. So we're going to pretty much do align content, I think is center. Let's see if that centers things. It doesn't. Let's try justify content center. I never actually memorize these things. I kind of just try them out until something works. So align items center. All right, cool. All right, cool. So that is centered right now. Another thing that I'm thinking of doing is to putting a padding top of, let's see what value we want to put. Yeah, okay, sorry. Here, okay. Looks like there's a padding top of like 80 pixels. So let's just do that. Padding top 80. All right, so let's go back to the application. You can see that it has like an 80 pixel padding from the top. I actually want to increase that a little bit because I feel like the Figma dock might be a little bit different than my specific phone screen. So let's actually increase this to like 100. That'll probably fix it. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Now to change the source of this, the URI source of this image, let's go and pretty much use the example that React had on their documentation. So it's basically source, and it basically calls require with this path. So I'm guessing it would be way easier if I just pass that into this source object. I think that should do it. So I have this own logo, source, and then I can do this. And let's take a look at the application. Okay, sure enough, it doesn't show. That might be because SVG is not working on this project right now. I might have to install an additional library to get the SVGs to work. So let's just change this to .png because I do know that that does work. All right, cool. So that does work. So one thing that I can do right now, just to like get this up and running really easily, is to copy paste this as a PNG. I wonder if I can actually export this. So it does have an export function here. Okay, nice. Thank God for Figma. So you have 1x. Let's do 512 width export of this thing. All right, cool. It'll have a preview for us, and then if I hit this, it'll actually export it. So let's give it a meaningful name this time. OHM landing. That is way more meaningful than just an OHM logo, because I have like so many OHM icon, OHM logo, OHM like all that kind of stuff. So OHM landing, much better name. And let's just change this to OHM landing and take a look at the application. Yay, it is working. It's just that the styling is making it super, super small. So let's actually take a look at the project to see what the styling for that is, really. So it's 185 by 119. Let's actually try and do 185. Height is 120. And then let's take a look at it. All right, looks pretty good. No complaints so far. I wonder if I can actually change this width to something like 80%. Oh, actually, I have to pass it as a string. All right, looks like it does work. You just have to pretty much make sure that whatever you're setting as width, the height actually matches that. So let's see if I can do 80 view width. That should not change anything. Sorry. Oh, yes. What if I do view height? Huh. Okay. Interesting. So let's see. 185. What if I want this to be like always, regardless of the page size, I want it to take up this much percentage of the page. So the total width of the page is 375. This is 185. So 185 over 375 should give me 50%. So let's set the width to 50%. And the height should always be whatever the width is multiplied by that. Let's see if I can actually do 10 view heights. Cannot be converted to a YG value. Did you forget this is okay? Let's see. View VH React Native. Let's see if this actually shows. All right, cool. So somebody looks like they asked this question. That's how they're getting it. So it basically says create viewport config. Instead of viewport, you can use dimensions. Okay, so that's a way that you can get the dimensions on it. Viewport units. Oh, there's basically some functions that do that for you. I don't know if React Native supports this. There's a module. So if we want to fix that, we got to get a module. Right now, I'm not super keen on just installing random libraries on the application. Let's just get this, have this as a bare minimum. So let's go and just set in 180, maybe, or like 120. 120. All right, that looks pretty good. Pretty happy with this. All right, cool. So let's go and look at the rest of the application to see what we need to do. Just one second.